Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in, and it is time for the weekly power rankings heading into week 13 of the NFL season. And just to think, we're almost done with the NFL season. This is crazy. Time has just been flying by. But anyway, it's time to get into these power rankings. Which team moves up, which team moves down. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Alright guys, these were last week's rankings. Take a screenshot if you want to follow along to see where each team goes. Do any teams go down? Do any teams go up? Let's get right into it. Since there were no bye weeks last week, every team has a chance to move up or down. There's not going to be any teams that stay the same due to bye weeks. So let's just get right into it. Arizona Cardinals, I mean, they are where they belong. One of the worst teams in the NFL. I mean, it's just not a good football team. Let's just put it like that. It's not a good football team. Next is the Atlanta Falcons, coming off of a big win as the NFC South Division leaders. I had them at a C. I'm going to move them up to a B. Even though Desmond Ridder did not look good, they played good enough defense. They made just enough plays on offense to win that ball game. And by default of them being the division leader, despite them being 5-6, I'm going to move them up for a B this week. Next is the Baltimore Ravens, coming off of a big win on the road against the LA Chargers. I'm going to keep them at an S. That defense is special. That Ravens defense is absolutely special. So I'm going to keep them at an S. Up next is the Buffalo Bills. I'm dropping them again. I'm dropping them again to a B. Now, it's to be said that Josh Allen played a hell of a game. And they were one miscommunication away from actually beating the Philadelphia Eagles. It's just something about this Bills team that is just so head-scratching. And for them not to be able to make a stop on the Philadelphia Eagles after getting a field goal in that first overtime drive, stumbling all over the place. But at the end of the day, this Buffalo Bills team is just a head-scratching headache. Next is the Carolina Panthers. And they fired Frank Reich. It's just not a good football team, even though I thought they would have been much better than what they are at 1-10. I mean, I'm happy a little bit as a Bears fan because we have their pick, but it's just, I thought this team would be a lot better than what it's been showing. Next is the Bears. Despite the win, I'm still going to keep them at a D because that offense looked terrible. I'll leave my reaction up to the cards, but just to sum it up, 15 or more wide receiver screens. It's not going to win you any ball games. And it luckily won them this one. But let's move on. We're going to have the Cincinnati Bengals coming off of a loss. I'm going to keep the Bengals at a B for now. Because they actually put up a really good fight and a really good showing against the Pittsburgh Steelers team without Matt Canada. The offense actually looked like an offense. That defense for the Steelers is legit. So I'm going to put the Bengals at a B. Next is the Cleveland Browns, coming off of a big loss to the Denver Broncos. I can't drop them just yet. I'm going to keep them at A for now. I can't drop them just yet. Even though the quarterback play without Deshaun Watson leaves a lot to be desired. DTR ended up leaving the game with the concussion or the head injury. And it's just, that defense did not play well. So I am going to put them at an A, keep them at an A for now, but at this point they're subject to change with their quarterback play. Next is the Cowboys. I'm leaving them at an A because they did this against the Washington Commanders, a team that's basically throwing in the towel at this point. So yes, they look dominant. Yes, DeRon Bland broke the record for most pick sixes in the NFL season. Shout out to him for that. But at the end of the day, I want to see them do games like this against better competition. So until I see the Cowboys do that, I'm going to leave them at an A. Next is the Denver Broncos. This team, it's been hot lately. I had them at B. I'm not going to put them at an A yet. I don't think they're in that echelon of teams at that A mark. But they are inching closer with the way they're playing, especially on the defensive end of the football. This defense has recovered since the 70-point blowout and the 28-7 being down to the Bears. This defense has recovered. They're playing some really, really good football, and Russell Wilson is starting to look a lot better. So I'm going to put them at a B for now, but it's subject to change the way they've been playing. The Detroit Lions. I hate to do it, but I'm going to drop them to an A. Because it was almost the same story against the Bears, against the Packers, and it's unfortunate the way you may look at it, that they just did not come out with this ball game. The last week against the Bears, they were able to come out with the win, and this week it was just a little too much. So that defense has got to step up. They have to find some type of pass rush outside of Hutchinson, and he hasn't even been that stellar type of a player. He has his moments, but I haven't seen him take that leap as of yet. That's just me. Green Bay Packers, I had them in a B. Big win against the Lions. We're going to keep them there. Like I said about the Broncos, they're not at that echelon to be moved up to a A. They're not. Jordan Love played a whole lot better of a football game than what he's been playing lately, so I will leave the Packers at a B. Next is the Houston Texans. I'm keeping the Texans at a B, surprisingly. C.J. Stroud played well. It was just a very close and contested game, and they were a missed field goal away from possibly going overtime and tying the ball game. So I'm going to keep the Texans at a B. I still believe DeMeco Ryans is Coach of the Year, so I'm going to keep them at a B. Next is the Indianapolis Colts. Big win against Tampa, keeping them at a C. And this defense, it just hasn't been great. Offensively, they're starting to do something, but I just don't think they're at the point of the speed level teams despite the win, so I'm going to keep them at a C. Jacksonville Jaguars, I had them at an S tier. I know I see some comments for me putting the Jaguars at S, but it's just that pass rush has been a lot better with Josh Allen. Well, they're Josh Allen. Trevor Lawrence plays some good football. Travis Etienne has been very good for them. Ridley, Christian Kirk, who I also have on my fantasy team. But this Jaguars team, at this point, I think is an S-level football team. Next is the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to move them to an S. Because I think the three of Baltimore, Jaguars, and Kansas City are the top three teams in the AFC, and I don't think it's even close to have anybody else behind them. Maybe another team. I'll get to that team on this video. But I think those three are the top three teams that we have in the AFC. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs, with the performance, even though they were down, to come back against the Raiders like that, when the Raiders have been playing a lot better football, I'll have to move them to an S. Next is the Los Angeles Chargers. Oh, this team is so frustrating. It's like they have so much talent. They have the pieces to be a better football team, but they just cannot close the deal. They just cannot close the deal. Defensively, offensively has been inconsistent, so I'm going to leave the Chargers at a C. And the Rams, coming off of a win against Arizona, I don't see them moving up and down. They are a B football team. I like the things that Puka Nacua is doing. I just wish Cooper Kupp can be completely healthy. But I'm going to put them at a B. Next is the Raiders. I'm keeping the Raiders at a C. For the good portion of this ball game, the Raiders were in front by a good margin. It's just something with this Raiders team is just they are not able to control games. Now, what I mean by control games is if they'll have a lead or they'll just start to play a whole nother different way instead of controlling the football game with the running game or with things like that to really keep things in their side of control. I just don't see this Raiders team do that on a consistent basis, especially against the better teams. Dolphins, that was the other team I was talking about. I'm going to put them at an A. They did very well against this Jets defense, but I'm waiting on the Dolphins, and it's kind of like the Cowboys, to do it against stiffer competition. Offensively, they got the speed. They can score points. Defensively, they've been playing a lot better. Sucks Jalen Phillips is out with the Achilles because he was having a really good season for them. But I'm going to put the Dolphins at an A. Next, we're going to have the Minnesota Vikings. I'm dropping them to a C. Back-to-back losses to Denver and my Bears the last 2 weeks. Offensively, outside of that one drive against the Bears, they didn't do anything. Defensively was causing the Bears some fits, and there was more problems than just that. Anyway, I like what this defense can be. It's just offensively, the last 2 weeks, Josh Jacobs, I think, has come a little bit to earth. So I'm going to keep them. I'm actually going to lower them to the C. Patriots, his team is just bad. Mac Jones, not good. Bailey Zappi wasn't much better. Defensively, yeah, they've been better, but it's just that offense is just so inept. I can't really fully blame Mac Jones for this. I might do a video about this Patriots struggles team, but it's just, this team is just so much. It's just, and it's not that typical Bill Belichick team. So the New Orleans Saints coming off of a loss, so keeping them at a C. It's just this team just cannot close deal in red zone opportunities. And Derek Carr been in and out of the lineup with injuries. This defense has been better and it's been good. It's just the offense has been inconsistent. So I'm going to keep them at a C. Giants, despite the win, that was one of the uglier football games outside of the Bears last week. And probably this season. So I'm going to keep them at a D. Jets, I don't think I can put the Jets at a D right now. You know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It's tempting me to do it because the quarterback situation is not the only thing wrong with the Jets. Offensive line is terrible. They put way too much on the defense to be perfect because the offense is just so inept. And Nathaniel Hackett's problems is basically carried over to this Jets team from Denver last year. So I kind of want to put them in a D, but I think they're one loss away from B. Eagles, S-tier team. The way they were able to come and win that ball game against the Buffalo Bills, they had some struggles in that first half. They made some adjustments. They came out playing some way better football. Jalen Hurts in that second half was a lot better. He ended up making some big-time throws and then scoring the game-winning touchdown. So he's at an A. The Eagles as team, best record in football. Steelers, I'm putting the Steelers at a B. I'm going to leave them at a B. The offense looks a whole lot better without Matt Canada. Defensively, they look stout. And I think they're probably another win away from moving up. Depending on how the offense looks, can they consistently do this? But I like what the Steelers showed against the Bengals. Seahawks, B-tier football team. I think the Seattle Seahawks right now are the definition of an average football team. They have players in Witherspoon. They have players in a guy like Metcalf, who I think is still overrated. Smith-Njigba, the Ohio State. They have Tyler Lockett. Jamal Adams has been playing some solid football. Wagner's been playing solid. It's just this team is just so... It's basically the definition of average. Geno Smith has had some moments, but he hasn't been playing the best football of his career, and I think last year may have been one of those one-year wonders things. So I'm going to leave them at a B. San Francisco S-tier football team. The way they looked against Seattle, and speaking of Seattle, the team they played, the 49ers just looked... They looked like the dominant team they were the first 5 weeks of the season through these last 3 games. They keep that up, that 49ers-Eagles contest is going to be a doozy. Next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, another loss. They're probably one loss away from me dropping them to a D tier, to be honest with you. It's just, I think the problem is, I hate to do it, but it's Baker. I hate to do it, but Baker is so inconsistent. So I'm going to have to put them in a C. Same thing with the Titans. Despite the win, beat Carolina, so it's not really that big of an accomplishment. But at the end of the day, Tennessee and Will Levis, I like some things that Will Levis can do. He still has some growing to do defensively with Jeffrey Simmons. But I think this Titans team still rebuilding football team, but good win for them. And I'm going to put the Washington Commanders at the D. I think it's time for Ron Rivera to go. Ron Rivera has to go. They fired Jack Del Rio, but I think in totality, Ron Rivera, I think, should have coached his last game with the Commanders. It's a lame duck situation because this team is just not improving. Defensively is where he lays his head. They haven't been great. They let go of Sweat and Young. Offensively, Sam Howell, he has to throw the football so much because they're always down in football games. That's why some of his stats look a little bit padded. But I'm not saying Sam Howell is not a solid quarterback. It's just the numbers are padded. And this offense, at least a lot to be desired by every enemy. But hey, these are my thoughts. Leave your thoughts in the comments of these teams down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. APW Sports signing out. Have a great and excellent day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.